Oh man. People in here? Hey, what's going on? Oh man, Rolls subscribed 27 months in a row. Jesus, you're the beast. You're the beast. You're the beast. I don't know if we're gonna have Pedro tonight. I didn't message him today. I figured he knew it's Wednesday, but if I didn't message him, he might not show. So we'll see. We shall see. Don't know how the audio is coming in. I don't know if it's a little echoey or not. I know that I am in my office again, and there is no more carpet in my office. So the room is definitely a little more echoey, but I have some echo filters on the screen. This is line, but this is port, sir. This is a 20-year-old that is a 20-year-old Tawny port. So this is delicious stuff. You gotta have port with a good cigar here and there. It's a good aperitif, I guess is the best way to put it. I don't know, whatever. I'm not that cultured. I think it's delicious, and it's robust. It's a very robust. Sweet and alcohol-y, I guess is the best way to put it as well. If you've ever had port, it's if you like, it tastes like, what is it? Everyone always says it tastes like prunes. It's a very like raisiny, pruny taste because it's so like condensed. This joke happens a lot with individuals that talk about cigars. In the cigar community, there's always that conversation about how everyone's always like, "Oh, I've had a Cuban, and a Cuban cigar is the best," and whatever. "Oh, I've had so many cigars, but Cubans are the best." And the cigar guys are like, "Oh yeah, sure." And you could buy fake Cuban cigars or counterfeit Cuban cigars. As a matter of fact, most of the cigars that people have claimed that are Cuban, that they've gone to Florida and they're like, "Oh yeah, I bought some Cuban cigars," or whatever. They're all counterfeit. Cuban cigars are actually legitimately harder to get than most people think. And a good example is in Mexico, there are specific cigar resellers that are certified by Cuba. They're called, hey, what's going on, Amy Chicken? And so those places are like certified to actually like import Cuban cigars into Mexico. So I've gone to a few of them, and I've picked up some and brought some home with me because you drive to Mexico, you can bring them over from Mexico. So that's easier for sure. But most of the time, like people that say that, "Oh, it's the best cigar I've ever had," it's the same thing. Wine is the same way. Everything that's like highbrow or whatever, most people can't tell the difference if they don't have the palate for it, right? So there's tons of markers, right? Like depending, like Cohiba and a couple other ones, there's holograms. The pattern on certain bands, of course, the texture. The Cohiba now puts a hologram. There's a specific hologram that's on there, and they've tried to counterfeit that, but it never really comes out very well. And yes, the text should be raised, but they've also gotten those as well. There's a bunch of little markers now. You can go online and take a look, and they'll give you like a whole chart on what to look for. And every so often the counterfeiters get closer and closer to it, and things get changed. Emu, what's going on, man? How's that? I haven't followed the scenario with the whole light gun Pandora, so that's exciting to see. I'm gonna go take a look at that later on. I've been kind of following here and there, seeing other people talk about it as well. Apparently the gun isn't out yet, but the box can do light gun. So, but yeah, I'm still more than $20 the most I've spent. I was like, yeah, oh, Rolls, that's a good price point. There really isn't. Even if you go in and buy like a Churchill or something like, or a Davidoff, one of the higher end ones for like 30, 40, you won't, like, if you don't know what you're tasting, you won't, there's no point on spending that much. And that's the same thing that goes with many foods and palettes. A lot of people want to spend that $300 steak or whatever, a Wagyu steak or whatever. And if you, while you might taste it that it's delicious, that's no denying that it's going to be good. There's a level of like, you gotta have a palate to kind of appreciate. And I feel like I don't have that for a lot of things. As much as I've smoked cigars and I drink good whiskey and scotch and all that, I don't think I've got it. So, yeah, man, it's been kind of a drama thing. I've been following it along a little bit. I'm gonna take a look at it a little further this week and kind of go on what's going on with this light gun thing. For anyone that doesn't know or doesn't follow, there's Pandora's boxes, the little emulation boxes or whatever. There's like a new one that came out that's got it's got light gun capabilities, and there's like apparently the light guns that are supposed to come with it, but they didn't, and they're not out yet, and it's kind of this mess. And I don't know. I haven't followed along enough to kind of be as informed, so I'm not reporting on it. But that said, though, I'm excited to see other people talk about it, and I know you are talking about it. So I'm gonna go watch your video soon on it for sure. But yeah, let's. I'm gonna kick it off. I'm gonna kick this off because I want to talk about the Mario movie. I don't know if anyone in chat has seen it, but it is. I've seen it twice, and I also saw Dungeons and Dragons, and I also saw John Wick. There's been some movies watching for me recently, so it's. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it for sure. Let's kick this off. Let's do the brand. Let's do the brand here and go with it and roll it. Welcome to the Mid-Geek Crisis, episode 210. Here we are, another week. I'm back. I took the last week off because it was the opening day for the Mario movie, and I bought opening day tickets, and I had to take the kids, and it was awesome. That's I don't want to spoil anything yet. I feel like it's only been 1 week since it came out. It's already making all sorts of freaking money. If you guys haven't been following along the box office numbers, it's exciting to see. It has already broken records for top opening animation movie. It's I mean, like, it's a whole list of things that it's done already for sure. Let me see if I can pull that up. Where was that? Yeah, so let's see here. This is from this story was from yesterday at 7 o'clock in the morning. So things have already changed a lot. What was it? Let's see here. It says the opening weekend, I guess, whatever, with 377 million worldwide, which makes it the biggest worldwide opening of all time for an animated movie, surpassing the previous record holder of Frozen 2 at 358 million. So it beat it by a good almost 20 million. It earned 146 million for the Friday through Sunday period in the U.S., which is second only to The Incredibles 2, which made 183 million stateside for its opening weekend in 2018. And at 171 million from international markets for its opening weekend. It is also the second biggest international opening of all time for an animated movie. It trails only to Frozen 2, which made $228.2 million. As one would expect, it says the Mario movie is now the biggest opening of all time for video game adaptation in the US and worldwide. Another record that the Mario movie achieved is biggest opening for any movie, animation or otherwise, so far in 2023. Ant-Man and the Wasp, previously record holder for 2023, made $225 million, which isn't a big deal post-COVID, right? The numbers have been low and we were slowly starting to get, and I think this wave of movies, Mario, John Wick, Dungeons & Dragons, and pretty much anything else that's going to come out this summer is going to start hitting those big numbers again. I think people are back. They're hitting the theaters. What isn't back is me spending money on movies anymore. Let's talk about that. And one, you are absolutely correct. Nintendo are still the Disney of the game world, but I also want to point out that I think we have I had this argument many shows ago. Rolls, I think you remember us talking about it in an episode, probably, Tim. I mentioned that I personally think Mario is bigger than Mickey nowadays. Mickey is a logo, is a symbol, is recognizable by kids everywhere. A lot of kids have grown up watching like Mickey's Clubhouse and all that, but Mickey himself doesn't have any video games. He doesn't have cartoons or movies that kids watch. They watch Disney, but they don't watch Mickey stuff. Like Mickey is very early age, preschooler, kindergarten. They watch, that kind of stuff. But Mickey as a character has got no, people rep Mickey attire because it's Disney attire, but they're not like Mickey is my jam. I'm going to play the new Mickey game or rock the new Mickey cartoon or movie or whatever. That just isn't a thing anymore. Mickey is the logo for Disney, right? Mario, on the other hand, is a completely different ball game, right? He gets new games all the time, a new entry for his franchise. Right. They've had plenty of video games, right? Castle of Illusions is one of the best platformers on the Sega systems. There's all sorts of other Mickey games. Disney in general has had some. Like I love some of the Donald Duck ones. DuckTales is a great platformer from Capcom. A lot of Capcom Mickey games as well. My first NES game, my first actual cartridge game that was mine and not a rental, besides Mario that came, was Mickey Mousecapades by Capcom on the NES. So I get it, but he's not, like, when it comes down to like the face of a franchise, Mickey is. His logo, his ears, everyone recognizes them. You go to Disney and everyone buys the ears and all that, but as the logo, he's big. But I personally think the recognizable face and colors and the character of Mario has now surpassed that. I think and now that we've got Super Mario World, or Super Nintendo Land, or Super Nintendo World. Sorry, I'm going to get that right. Multiple. He's now got a theme park. He's now got a movie. And we've got video games. We've now got 3 major forms of like consumption, and then of course we've got like tons of merch that people rock. And of course, the nostalgia factor of Mario is so big nowadays that people our age are consuming it because we grew up with it. We're from the 80s. If you're in their 40s. Kids in the 90s grew up with the Super Nintendo and the N64 and GameCube. And as they progress, my kids grew up. I guess my oldest was the Wii U. He played Mario. What is it? Super Mario World U. I can't even remember the name of it anymore. But he loved playing that. He loved playing all the Switch ones since then. Mario Odyssey is his, and then my youngest is Mario Odyssey. The Switch was more his console as he started playing. He has a Switch and he plays Odyssey and Smash Brothers, and he has Strikers, and he plays all of the other Mario games out there. So as kids keep going, they get a new entry, and what entry of the Mario game is theirs, right? Galaxy was in my teens, but of course I grew up with the first one, 85, etc. I've had all of them under my umbrella. A Mario Kart alone. The Mario Kart franchise is so big that it also has games that are approachable by everyone, all age ranges, even people that don't play video games. So if you're not a video game player, someone that likes platforming, but you can pick up a controller and play a racing game, right? Or with the Wii, you had the motion controls, and so everyone played that for a while. There's just all sorts of my favorite. I love 8 or 8 Deluxe or whatever. It's a fantastic entry to the franchise because of all the things it has. But my favorite, number one out of all of them, is Mario Kart 64, just because it's one of my favorites. I like the level design. I like the N64 controller was really good because of the analog. It was the first one with the analog stick, and so the control felt really tight, and you could drift in it. And then, of course, Double Dash. I love Double Dash. I love Double Dash on the GameCube. It's like the first game I load up anytime I sitting down and having some GameCube time. I always sit down and run through a course of Double Dash. And so Mario, I mean, again, people can quote me and say I'm wrong, and that's fine. But the amount of money that this movie is making, how good the movie is now opening up a whole new franchise and a whole new wave of media consumption for Mario. Nintendo sees it. They see the money there. They saw how much it made just in this opening weekend, and they are just going, what other franchises can we now make movies on? And we had Donkey Kong in the movie, and he was fantastic. Seth Rogen did a great job as the voice of Donkey Kong. I had no problem whatsoever. There's a new hack for SNES Mario Kart. I forgot who's working on that. I follow him on Twitter. He posts all the time. I would say more people recognize Mickey than Mario, but Mario has more impact in the last 15 years. But again, I don't agree, man. Recognizable by what? By logo? By symbol? Most people couldn't, most modern, recent kids or whatever, they recognize Mickey because they grew up with Mickey, right? I'm talking about my kids. I've got a 13-year-old now, and my kids know Mickey. They grew up watching Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. That's the only thing I can think about that's a Mickey media form that they would have watched. There's no Mickey cartoons. There is one or two on Disney, but they didn't last very long. They had that new style one that just didn't hit it very well. But I just can't think of another form of Mickey media consumption that would say, hey, yeah, Mickey is how I connected, right? Little kids watch it because there is literally a cartoon or a show, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, that is just made for early education, early Disney Junior kind of thing. But after that, there's just no one's rocking Mickey or watching Mickey stuff in their once they're past 8 to teens. There's no Mickey consumption there. There is Disney. And again, I have to emphasize this. I'm not talking about Disney. Disney's recognizable. Everyone knows the font. Everyone knows the logo. Everyone knows what Disney is all about. Disney Plus is just so big. I have to go by kids, Tim. This is they're the generation that they're the next. They're not. We don't count anymore, brother. We're not. I've aged out of the demographic that we're being appealed to, right? Can we not talk about? We've talked about it on the show. Once you hit past 35, that last bracket of who you're being sold to, we don't count anymore. We're not the consumption. We're not what ad revenue. We're not the ones that are being marketed to anymore. It's the kids, and the kids are the ones that matter. And frankly, Mickey is just not. I don't think he's got the brand power. Disney has the brand power, but Mickey does not. And I will stand by that over and over again. That Mickey himself is a nostalgic icon. We see him on sweatshirts and T-shirts and whatnot because he is Mickey, but he is not. There's nothing modern to consume for all ages, and Mario has that, right? You can hand a controller to a toddler, and they'll recognize Mario, and they'll keep playing Mario for years and years and years after. It's a sad day in your life when you hit that birthday when you no longer right. You know what I'm talking about, right? So when you pull, that's exactly what I'm talking about, Rolls. When you do those drop downs and you're filling out a survey or whatever, and it's 18 to 25, 26 to 30, 30 to 35, and then once you're out of those brackets, you're boom, done. You're that last bracket now, and at that point, really not marketers are yeah, you've got money, but we're not changing your mind for anything anymore, right? This is the conversation we have about There you go. My dad was like that. My dad was always like, he's 36, 36 forever. He'll be 36 forever. But no, right. Like this is the conversation, right? Like we have this all the time. Like we age out and we're like, we have this conversation about phones, right? Like I'm an iPhone user, but I've been an iPhone user for years. And at this point, the smartphone has been out like honestly, the smartphone's been out since 2008, right? 2008 was the first year of the iPhone. And that's when things changed. We went to full screen phones and then Android and all of that. And there are people that switch back and forth between the two, but that's weird to me. Like most of the time, the ecosystem that you're in at this time, we've now so far in people our age, we've had a smartphone for so long, we've got apps and like data and all of that, that switching from one ecosystem to another, it just isn't seen anymore. Companies like Apple and Android, Samsung, Google, whatever, all of them have really realized that it's really hard to pull a consumer from one brand to another. And I think that's because once we get a certain age, we're stuck. Like, I don't even like, I look at new Samsung phones and Android phones, and as a tech guy, I love all that, right? Like, I love all the tech. I love all the the specs. I'm a spec guy, right? Like, I like all the how fast, how much memory. Ooh, look at that feature. Ooh, it's got a flip, it's got a flexible OLED. I love all that stuff. It's fantastic. But honestly, I would never buy one to switch from one to another. Why? Because I've aged out of that. Like, I don't want to go through that. I can't even imagine. Like, I've got a whole ecosystem of like 90,000 photos on my cloud on my iPhone. I've got thousands of applications that I've purchased already. I literally thousands. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating that number. I've got thousands of applications. I'm in the ecosystem. That's what it is, right? Apple and Android or Google, they bring you to that ecosystem and they hold on to you. And once you're in, you're in. It's really hard to kind of get out. And people call it the walled garden on the Apple side. And Google has its own things too, right? Like there are things that a lot of people don't want to lose from Google. And I respect that. And there's no right or wrong answer anymore. People can fight back and forth, but every phone has their flaws, their pluses, their minuses, how much you want to spend, etc. But that all relates to the same thing, right? The Mario movie, this movie isn't for us, right? And if I'm getting to it here, long way around it is that the reviews came out before Wednesday, before I went to go see the movie. And of course, the critics were like, you saw these like professional critics putting out their movie reviews, and they were like, it's not a good movie. It's not a good movie. And I was like, yeah, I don't buy it. I went. My kids, we went opening night. We had a blast. My wife loved it. I loved it. My kids loved it. It is a 90-minute, tightly edited. Do I wish there was more? Absolutely. But it is so tightly edited and made specifically for kids. Like it is like just perfectly tightly made and edited just to fit that perfect attention span for kids. And there are many scenes in the movie where I wish it was just 10 minutes longer, 5 minutes longer. Give me 3 more minutes of this scene. I would love it. But I won't hate any of it. Like none of it felt bad to me. Let's see here. Yeah, fresh. Kind of the same way I had to get my phone replaced under warranty a few years ago, but sat there waiting for a backup finish and played with my Galaxies. Not that I wouldn't get one, but at this point, I'm a brand. Yeah, you're brand committed. We're brand committed. That's how it works. Yeah, the professionals, the experts, they all like go on Rotten Tomatoes, right? Of course, Rotten Tomatoes is just but go on Rotten Tomatoes and go look at like the critic score. What is this? I'm gonna pull that up. Let's do that. Let's take a look at that. Super Mario movie, Rotten Tomatoes. It's got just goes to show. Let's do this. Sorry. Share screen here. I mean, look at this. 57%, man. But audience score, 96%. I mean, that's like not even like that's a 50. That's almost a 50% like divide. That goes to show, like, man, You're not wrong, but also Rotten Tomatoes technically isn't wrong, right? Because it's just an aggregator. It's literally just taking all of the major critic review sites, the New York Times and Variety and all of any major media publication. If they're a critic, they're part of the umbrella, and it goes and grabs the score and brings it and aggregates it, and that's what it's doing, right? And then it gives you an average, and it just goes to show that professional critics see they want a movie. They want some cinematic, like, you know Wes Anderson movie. Like, I think that's what we've got. We've gotten our heads so shoved far up our butts when it comes down to like what is a movie nowadays, that a movie like this that's unanimously loved by the audience, 96% unanimously loved by the audience, and it's that the divide is that, like, weird. Like, I haven't seen a movie like this in a while. Like 57% is pretty bad, but for 50%, 57%, usually you see like a pretty clear, like, 10-20% swing. But this is egregious. This is like huge, and it just goes to show that critics have no idea what they're talking about when it comes down to certain movies like this. Like, this particular style of movie was just not for critics, and it just goes back to show that they don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, it's the critic reviews, but they're looking for other things and maybe a little bit biased behind the scenes. Yeah, sure. Like, they're I don't know. I don't know. Like, I want to give critics a benefit of the doubt. I think they are important. I think media in general is important. Getting a valid, like, view, like when you buy a video game, or you want to buy a car, or you want to buy something, but also, like, people reviews matter. And 96% to 57% is a big difference. It just goes to show maybe these media outlets need to start hiring different critics. Some of these critics need to, like, maybe look at their job and go, wait a minute, I'm taking it a little too seriously here. I don't know. I just think it's interesting. Who saw it? So has anyone seen it? Like, am I the only one that saw this movie out of anyone in chat? Because I feel like if that's the case, I definitely don't want to talk about it more so than I am already, right? Like, because I don't want to spoil anything. I guess I'll give my broad review, right? Outside of me saying that I loved it, I saw it twice. I saw it on opening night, and then on Saturday night, I saw it with my dad and my sister in Houston, and it was great. I watched it. It was a late show, and a 9:30 show, late show, right? 9:30 show on a Saturday night. The movie's 90 minutes, so hour and a half later, boom, you're out of there. And it was great. Again, second time watching, lots of Easter eggs. If you're a fan of Nintendo, if you are a fan of Mario, if you grew up playing any of the games or know any of the lore or any of the things regarding Mario, there is a Easter egg for you. From things in the background to pictures to music to marks to little sound effects to the second viewing, I caught so much. I mean, it's just a whirlwind of, like, Easter eggs. From the music, which has got tons of Koji Kondo's mix of his Mario symphonies from all the different games, to little background gags and things in the background in the town, and Mario in, like, a restaurant in the background, the pictures. I mean, he's literally in a pizzeria called Punch Out Pizzeria, and the wall art is nothing but, like, Punch-Out characters, right? And they've got an arcade machine in there, and it's not a Donkey Kong machine; it's a Jumpman machine, and it's just funny. Just all sorts of little things here and there that just were wonderful. It was amazing to see that much love, and it also goes to show, like, we constantly get this, right? So we've had The Last of Us and the Super Mario movie. Now, these two things, of course, polar opposite on like vibe, right? Polar opposite on vibe, but they're both based off video games. And it just goes to show that we've had such bad video game adaptations because, hey, maybe you should just make a movie based off the game and it'll do well. Because that's exactly what Mario did. There's nothing extra about this. Mind you, of course, that, the first part of it, the whole, like, lore of Mario, whenever he comes from, that's a little new. All of that is new, but it was not so far-fetched that it was different from anything we've seen before. Mario, Luigi, brothers living in Brooklyn, plumbers. That's all I'm going to say. And then boom, Mushroom Kingdom. No. And I won't leave out the Sonic movies at all. Fantastic movies, made good money. I'm excited for the third one. There's some Easter eggs to the 93 movie. There's Easter eggs all around. It is absolutely just chock full. I mean, I can't wait to watch it a third time just to catch even more things. That's how many. Like, there's so many. I'll tell you like how deep they went. There is at one point in the movie, they're on a street in Brooklyn, and there's lots of businesses on the street. And at one point, there is a snow cone or an ice cream shop or whatever, and the sign is a ice climbers. I mean, the ice climbers bear is on there, and I was like, oh, cool, ice climbers. Look at that. Like, that's not something that you would like. That's not a reference that. I mean, yes, it is a Nintendo game, but it's just fun to see that. Like, and then next door to that was another place which I didn't even see what it was, but it had Disc-kun on it, and like the mascot of Disc-kun. And Any Chicken, I'm sure you know who that is, but it's if you live in Japan or know Japanese or Famicom lore or whatever, the disc add-on system for the Famicom, the Famicom disc system, the mascot for that particular peripheral is called, his name is Disc-kun, Disk Kun, and he's a little floppy disk yellow guy that's just kind of like, his logo's on there on the like name of the shop, and it's called like Disc-kun something or whatever, like Disc-kun Electronic Repairs or something like that. And I was just like, what? Like, again, that's how, like, this is a French company, Illumination, with American ties, making a video game movie, and like they really were. I mean, they must have been given like a whole like stack of things, or someone somewhere had really good love and lore to Nintendo and just went like, I'm going to add this into it. I'm going to add this into it. And the video of game is Clue. Clue is a fantastic movie. It bombed in the theater, but it was fantastic. Yes, Street Fighter. No, you will never win that one. Street Fighter, no, absolutely not. If anything, Double Dragon's a better movie, right? Disc-kun. Yeah, it's Disc-kun. Anywho, it's just go see it. Go catch it on a Tuesday night, $5 movies, which is, by the way, how I watched Dungeons and Dragons yesterday. I had some stuff to do, but I was tired. The first day back from Easter vacation, and I really wanted to see Dungeons and Dragons, and I didn't want to pay another $20 for a ticket because, man, ticket prices, man, just absolutely ridiculous. I think my two kids, wife and me, I had some gift cards, but in total, if I had paid full cash, it's like 80 and change for 4 tickets to the movie for Mario. And then my sister bought a ticket for me and my dad and herself, so she bought 3 tickets. So I don't know how much that was, and if she used like coupons or whatever. But I bought 2 tickets for my kids for the movie on Saturday, and it was $43 or something, like $40 plus dollars. It's just like, no, man. My local, what is it? Cinemark, and the other one that I go to another one, a Strike and Reel. It's a bowling alley one. That's really good. That, again, $5 on Tuesdays, and again, and so is Tuesday movies at Cinemark. It's all $5. So it's just I don't know, man. It's just so much. It's too much money. Like, I don't. They want people to come to the theater. And I was talking with a buddy of mine. I'm like, well, how can we entice people to come to the movie and watch these things? Because I'm not going to spend this amount of money on just any movie. I'm going to wait for either a $5 day, a matinee price of some sort, or I'm going to wait for it to come on digital. Because there's no way that I'd rather spend the $30 on like buying it digitally and then I own it versus $30 on a movie ticket that I can't, like, I don't get anything back for it. What if it's a bad movie? Like, at least if it's a bad movie and I get a copy of it, at least I can either keep it or not use it at all, right? I think they really should do that. Fandango or whatever. Like, if you're gonna charge me $20, or if I buy 2 tickets and I spend over $40 or whatever, you should give me a digital copy of the movie, right? Like, just Yeah. You don't own digital. Of course you don't. That's like the mantra of our show. Tim, come on. You know that. Yeah, anytime they want. I get it. I get it. I mean, then I'll just pirate it. I'll just download it from torrent. Like, I mean, like at this point, I get it. My point is like they need to give me something. I mean, digital doesn't cost them anything. Like you said, it's ones and zeros. That's DRM sitting on a server. Just give me a physical or a digital copy of it that I can buy or that I can then download later on. Like if I'm going to spend $40 on a movie, not including the popcorn and the drink or whatever, just give me a digital copy of the movie. It doesn't cost you anything. It'll only cost you if I redeem it, right? But what if people lose their ticket or whatever? Then they don't redeem it. Like, I don't know. Just give me something. I think at one point they tried that, right? Like I think Fandango was given like soundtrack copies for a while. They were doing like soundtrack keys for like iTunes. There was things that you could get. I don't know. I just feel like there's got to be some give here because it's too much money. Like this is ridiculous. $20 a ticket, $30 a ticket is ridiculous. Right. No. What's funny about that is I did get a Mario bucket, but I didn't go to AMC the first time I watched it. I went to AMC the second time I watched it. They were out. AMC had the cool question block popcorn buckets that were already being scalped on eBay for like $50 $60 for a popcorn bucket. Because of course, that's how. What is it? Hold on, I think I've got something for that.
I'm escaping to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. Space!
I'll never get used to that. I'll never get tired of that clip. Yeah, capitalism, man. Just scalping. Like people are literally walking in there and like stealing like popcorn buckets from kids that want a Mario bucket because they're going to throw it up on eBay to resell. Just yeah, man. Gamers, man, love them and hate them. But yes, go watch the Mario movie. It's fantastic. It hits all of the wonderful, from kids to people our age. They all loved it. My wife loved it. My dad loved it. My sister loved it. We all loved it. Go watch it for sure. Yeah. F them kids. Yeah, for sure. I think those are the words of Michael Jordan as well, right? No. Anywho, yes, I watched Dungeons and Dragons as well yesterday, and that was also a fantastic movie. A lot of fun. You don't need to know Dungeons and Dragons. You don't need to know any of the lore. If you do, there's all sorts of Easter eggs. Man, what is it? John Francis Daley is one of the writers and directors for that movie. I don't know if anyone knows who he is. He was one of the characters on Bones for a while. The like the counselor, they killed him off after a while. But he's directed all sorts of fun stuff now, and Dungeons and Dragons versus Stranger Things. So that's an interesting like. I mean D&D is literally a fantasy movie. And if you know the rules of D&D, there was all sorts of fun things for you, but it was just a fantasy movie, and it was a well-made fantasy movie. Like it was just like an 80s like heist / team / fun movie, kind of like a road trip movie or a journey movie of some sort. Go from mission to mission to thing, from quest to quest, and then come back, fight big villain, and roll credits. That's pretty much what it was. A good 80s trope in a way, right? Like a lot of the 80s style movies like Goonies or whatever, kind of that same feel of like a group of people doing something, trying to get away, trying to accomplish something. They do it at the end, fanfare, credits roll, music plays, villain loses in the end, goes to jail, dies, whatever. And that's the end of that. And D&D did that. And Stranger Things is literally an 80s nostalgia trip, hoping to encapsulate and hit the nostalgia of us growing up in the 80s. And of course, it's well distilled. The 80s did not look that way. There was not much neon. The malls, I mean, we wanted to look that way, wanted to feel that way. But of course, Stranger Things is a very distilled view of the 80s. And that's good. That's totally fine. So they're both equally good. They both treat D&D very well. D&D's movie was very well made, very well researched, very well manicured for a D&D movie. And Stranger Things also takes D&D lore and the love of D&D and tabletop and kind of shares it in a completely different form of media, right? Like the talking and like Vecna and all that in like the newest season or whatever, and all of those like little things and of people growing up and playing tabletop. Also the whole like the panic, the Satan panic, the tabletop panic, the devil panic or whatever. But all of that was encapsulated in the newest season of Stranger Things. So maybe we'll see movie Space Crew. I'm a defender of the '93 movie, but I've imported the. I was reading a awesome tweet by a fellow journalist that's runs I think Nintendo Life or whatever. And no, Game Explain, Andre from Game Explain, and he went on a great rant on and I'm with him. I have love for the Mario movie in a very like ironic sense of like it's so bad it's good. Just like you're saying there. But there are literally people out there right now that the new movie is out, defending the '93 movie like it was an actual good movie. And look, it's got John Leguizamo, it's got Bob Hoskins in it. It's got some great actors in it, but by no means is it a good movie. It is not a good movie. We have like commentary and interviews talking about how that movie and the script was such a freaking like mess that you had Bob Hoskins on set dealing with like, what is it, the wife and husband directors like fighting and changing the script in the middle of like dailies. Like it was just a mess of a movie. That is not a Mario movie. It took a franchise and wanted to capitalize on it, but the directors and the writers had no love for the game. They didn't know anything about the game and just like threw words at a piece of paper and like called it a Mario movie. It is not a good movie or a good Mario movie. It is a 80s movie that we are nostalgic about, but it is not a good Mario movie. It is not a good movie. So like, folks, stop. This is the definitive Mario movie now. That movie is the equivalent of, we're going to get people defending Dragon Ball, the live action. We're going to get people defending Avatar, The Last Airbender in a few years. Like all these like weird movies that like we know are bad. They're unequivocally bad. But we're going to get people that are going to like defend it later on? No. No. Yeah, no. By all means, he was a great pick he was a good live action Mario, right? But he also was like wasted with like a really bad script. Leguizamo was a good Luigi. Like honestly, he plays a good Luigi. But he's also like not Italian. Like I don't know. It's just weird. I will die on the bio. Well, I mean, dude, like, and again, we talked about it on this show too many times. Like movies in general, there are lots of movies that we will never get to see again like that. Like Biodome is a movie that is a product of its time. It came out in theaters. There was like media hype for this movie. Millions were spent by a studio at some point, and it did not do well, but it existed and it was at a theater and people did go see it. And I owned it on VHS. Studios don't take those risks anymore, man. That movie now is a Netflix movie. It is a straight to Hulu movie. It is a let's shop at the Amazon Prime movie. It is not a let's spend millions of dollars and put like tons of things out and put it in a theater and hope that we make our money back, because it isn't. That's not how it works anymore. The days of mediocre movie are gone. It's either a good movie that's going to make double their spent at the theater, or it is a streaming movie. That's where we're at. Back when we grew up in the 80s and 90s, we had like straight to CD, straight to DVD, straight to cassette, like sequels to like popular movies. Like how many Bloodsport movies or kickboxer movies did we get that were straight to like tape? All of those that's the equivalent of the like streaming movie nowadays, right? Like the weird like sequel that, like, hey, we can't get Van Damme anymore, but let's get the guy from Step by Step, the brother, and put him in its place or whatever. Like just like these weird like just weird like things, and we don't get those anymore. You Leave Bloodsport Alone. No, I love the movie. There's nothing wrong with it, but like the sequels, there was like sequels, like Kickboxer sequels and all that came out straight to tape and straight like American Ninja. Like the first one might have maybe hit the theaters, but we're not going to see anything after that at the theaters nowadays. We're not going to see like 3, 4, and 5. Although to be fair, we do live in a world where we get these like bombastic, overly over the top, like weird movies like the Fast series, but that's kind of its own thing, right? Like we've allowed the Fast and the Furious franchise to exist because it is what it is. It is like expensive cars and lots of money and budget and a big star cast and ridiculous. You know, let's shoot a like hook shot out of a car and swing it around and it's still driving and suspension is fine. Like again, that's fun, but I'm just saying like that is a high dollar movie and they make their money back. So it's not a mediocre straight to DVD, straight to tape movie. Yeah, right. That this is Kindergarten Cop 2. What was that? That was with you know, yes, there was no sequel to that. Man. If we ain't family. Anywho, let's talk about some other things real quick. If it's a Michael Bay effect, I'd rather watch stuff in blood over 2 hours than an artsy fartsy best film movie that nobody ever heard of. I mean, a little bit of both. I'm all for. I go to movies to get entertained. My dad's the same way. I grew up. My dad and me are kind of the same person when it comes down to movies. Like, if it's a bad movie, like a straight to DVD, I'll watch it. Straight to tape. I say straight to DVD. Straight to tape movie. Straight to like. He was always the one that like, you know, he'd go to like the local rental, and we'd walk in on like, you know, Friday night. And go to our local like grocery store or whatever tape place, because we didn't go to Blockbuster. Blockbuster was for chumps. Like we went to like, you know, the Randalls or the like the Kroger, the grocery store rental place or the mom and pop places, right? And he'd walk up and see the new releases, and he'd like what's out there, and then, you know, like, ooh, Iron Eagle 7, let's get that. And I'm like, what? Like, I think 6 was terrible. Like, what would we watch 7? And sure enough, we'd watch it. And we're like, I can't remember it. They all blend together, but sure enough, Iron Eagle 7, let's watch it. And like, that's the kind of, Dolph Lundgren, you know, like all these. Yeah. I mean, you know what it's talking about. Like that's how we watch movies. And so those type of movies don't exist much anymore. They're either the straight to streaming or they're not, right? Like that's how we watch these movies. Yeah, it's just like these bad movies or whatever. Again, it's either high enough to make their money for theater or streaming. And yeah, so mediocre movies like Biodome, I don't think get it anymore. If it's not gonna it's not gonna bring in the money or at least double in the spent, then it's not gonna make theaters. I mean, not saying that all movies won't make theaters. There's a few like stinkers coming out at theaters still, but like they're not getting big media push, and they'll be on streaming in a month. I mean, a good example is Shazam, which part 2, which did absolutely terrible at the theater. I think it's hitting streaming at the end of this week. It's 1 month, 30 days is how long it had a theater run, and it's I think the 17th of this month is when it hits. It hits Max, not HBO Max. Let's talk about that. So that's a good segue to this. So today, HBO or Warner Brothers Discovery, Warner Brothers. What are they anymore? I don't even know anymore. They have announced that they are rebranding HBO Max to just Max. It is literally the worst rebranding I have ever heard of. I just can't even like come up with the words on how stupid this is. So let's talk about it. So Max replaced HBO Max on May 23rd. And here's what you need to know. So for one, HBO Max and Discovery Plus have been 2 separate services, right? HBO has been a Warner Media kind of thing for a while. And then a year ago or so, Discovery Channel and all of its Discovery like franchises and whatever were purchased by Warner Brothers as well. And so they now have this other streaming channel, Discovery Plus. It exists. So now they've basically went, we can't have these 2 people don't want to pay for 2, so we're going to consolidate them and make 1 service and call it Max. This is the worst name you could possibly have. I don't understand. You've literally removed the nostalgia factor and the HBO part. Like the premiumness of HBO right? Like HBO for years, growing up in a household without cable, was one of those like premium channels, right? If you had HBO, it means you were stealing it. In my household, we were stealing HBO. We didn't pay for HBO. Or, oh man, the HBO like free weekend came on, and all of a sudden it worked it. But you've now killed it. Why would you like remove the HBO name from this and name it something that removes it's like, I don't know. It's just such a bad branding there. Yeah, it's the name recognition, man. Like HBO is synonymous with that like that feeling, like what was it? Here, I'm gonna play it because I wanna what is it? Yeah, I mean, growing up in the '80s and whatnot. I mean, does anyone remember these intros? If when you recorded someone over recorded like HBO movie, or you had HBO for a while, and you remember at the beginning of the movie or whatever, or the beginning of the show, it had like an intro, the HBO intros. I mean, they're popular. Like everyone remembers those, and yeah, it's just. I just can't believe that this is where we're at. Do you remember this? I think this is the one I remember the most. It was this one and then the other one, the like really like flashy 3D looking one. I mean, everyone that had HBO probably remembers one or the other that they had. But this is the one that I remember. Yeah, man. Now, I'm gonna mute it though because I might get hit with a copyright for that one, which is from I might get hit for that one. But yeah, that's I mean, like who doesn't remember that? Like, yeah, man, that's I remember the spinning lights and whatever else, and yeah, the feature presentation, man, that's such a big deal growing up in the '80s, and brand recognition, right? The idea that HBO was like this premium product. If you had HBO, you had money. Like who had that friend that had HBO? You'd go over their house. And also, was Cinemax owned by HBO? Because now that it's called Max, it makes me think of Cinemax, not HBO. Did anyone on the board of directors say that? Did anyone kind of like say anything about that? Because that just seems to me like just weird to me. I don't know. I didn't get HBO until like 2000s, whatever. Yeah, I mean, like some of us didn't get it until we were like maybe adults or could pay for it for ourselves. But outside of that, HBO was a luxury item. I didn't have it growing up. If I had it, we were stealing it. And that's all I'm going to say about that, right? Like, who didn't like if you grew up in the area of town that I grew up in? I mean, crap! I used to program DirecTV boxes. That was my side hustle for a while. Like growing up as a teenager, you learn how to do things and you make money. And I was programming football cards, baby, on the DirecTV. But but yeah, I mean, any show. Yeah, okay, so there we go. So it was owned by HBO. So you've gone from but in my point of view, Cinemax was always like second rate, right? Like it was the other premium channel, but it wasn't HBO. HBO was where the first run movies would come out. HBO was where the boxing was. If there was like a Tyson fight, you might get on an HBO, if anyone remembers that. So yeah, I guess it is owned by HBO, but it makes me think of Cinemax. So is that what they were going for? Because that feels like, I mean, everyone calls it Skinemax for a reason, because Cinemax just after like 10:30 or whatever, it had the soft core stuff, right? Yeah, yeah, right. This is what you watched. Yeah, you got it after at 1 a.m. You're like, you sneak in, and you're like, watch it. It was the channel that you would get the blurriness on. You flip over to it. I don't know. That's such a weird move. I don't understand it. I don't get it. And again, the branding's already out there. They killed today. All the new trailers and stuff that came out today are are about are Max. And so I'm going to talk about some other things that they announced. So they announced, first off, they announced a Harry Potter reboot, which will be 10 years. Because we want to give J.K. Rowling more money, right? Like that's she needs more money. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. There's a new Harry Potter reboot because we're rebooting it because that's what we want. Anywho, another show on Max coming out, which is something that had been announced before, is we are getting a Penguin spinoff based off of the Batman franchise. So more, what is it? Colin Farrell, I guess, is who played the Penguin. So they just released their teaser for that. Let's play that because I haven't actually watched it, so I'm excited to see this for sure. Let's nope. Let's pick the right tab here. Share this tab instead. There we go.
This is one of those moments. You gotta ask yourself, what kind of life do I want?
It's more Warner Brothers, man. They've got a franchise they're gonna milk.
For guys like us. That's why we gotta take whatever we decide is ours. It's Carmine Falco's right hand. Trying to push me out. Whoa, hey! You ain't seen what I can do. If you step out of line, even once, I'll gut you like a goddamn fish. You imagine the people saying my name in the streets after you're gone. Have it mean something? The new Kingpin of Gotham.
Yeah, I'm for that, Max. Yeah. Like, what does HBO do well? They do crime. They do crime shows. They did The Sopranos. Like, of course, this is right up the alley of this, and it works. It works well. I totally works well. So let's talk about the other thing they announced, which is absolutely the weirdest thing I think I've heard of. But again, HBO and Warner Brothers is milking their franchises. They need to start making money. They are competing with Disney, and they are digging deep into their franchises that they own, and they are pulling stuff out and throwing it against the wall and see if it sticks. And HBO has always done well. Their series of Oz, Sopranos, Boardwalk Empire, Crime. That's it. So the Penguin sounds like a perfect show for HBO. I think we should just keep calling it HBO so that they get mad at us, because they're going to be like, no, we're Max. I'm like, no, you guys are HBO. HBO. Yeah, Emu, thanks for joining us, man. Yeah, definitely. I'm not going to stop calling HBO. And so another franchise that Warner Brothers is really going to milk, it needs to find. So I wonder if HBO as a channel is still going to be around, because that's going to be weird. Like, it's going to be weird that like the new Game of Thrones is live on Sundays on HBO or whatever, the new season of the Game of Thrones show or whatever. And then, but I guess you can watch it streaming on Max. It's just weird. Yeah, the Summit is still the Summit to me. Yeah, instead of the whatever church is called. Anyway, this franchise, a prequel to an animated prequel to
Are we?
Gremlins.
We need to discover the world's mysteries. Magic is all around us.
There's no such thing.
Gather round. I bring you a creature only whispered about in myth and legend.
It can't be. That is a Mogwai.
Whoa.
No mortal has seen one for centuries. Take my cloak, cute.
Gizmo. Hi, Gizmo. I'm Sam.
But this species is wildly dangerous.
Is that true? How dangerous can he be?
Nobody else has concerns.
You must return him to his home.
So this is
Coming
weird.
with you.
They're now establishing that I guess
Wonderful. We have a map.
Mogwais
that no
come
one
from like a
understands except
dimension?
a magical squirrel that
A
speaks
magical
gibberish.
realm? The
I'm
Fae?
guessing this doesn't translate to everything's fine.
Look at you.
He would do anything to get these Mogwais.
Go get him, Sam. That creature will be mine.
Come get us! You know Kung Fu?
Yeah. So again, more stuff, man. Again, we're brand recognition. We're trying to get more franchises out, more things. Warner Brothers is pulling from its arsenal, trying to get things thrown against the wall, see if they can make a franchise out of it. Also, over the weekend, this teaser for Max, this one still has the HBO Max stuff because it was announced last week while we were off, is a we got an Animaniacs reboot on Hulu. Did you watch that? Because it was fantastic, and yet no one watched it. So that was Steven Spielberg's. So if you watch more of that, you would have gotten Tiny Toons. Just saying. As a teenager, I remember watching this show, and this is one of those shows that was infamous on MTV. And it was, Beavis and Butthead and all that kind of stuff. But it was another show, a show called Clone High. Loved it. As a matter of fact, it is like, I think the creator of this show, was one of the creators of Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse. There is a Clone High like billboard in the background on Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse. That's kind of an Easter egg for people that love the show. And everyone was like, oh my God, it's coming back. And apparently, yeah, they were shopping it around. And sure enough, HBO picked it up. And we are now getting a sequel to the first season of Clone High, which is a 20-year-old animated show. If anyone is familiar with it or not familiar with it, let me give you the premise here. It is a absolutely stupid show about a high school drama, kind of like cartoon, with a bunch of teenagers. But the teenagers are all clones of very important, iconic people from history. So Abraham Lincoln, Joan of Arc, JFK, Gandhi, Marie Curie, just all sorts of different like painters and musicians, and the whole purpose was the government was doing this to raise them and then use them to like rule the world later, whatever, some like dark, deep government. Anywho, the point was it was a silly show, lots of pop culture reference of music and stuff because of MTV. It was funny. It was just one of those things. JFK, Gandhi, and Abraham Lincoln were like the three main protagonists and antagonists on the show, and it was absolutely bananas funny. Joan of Arc was like the love interest who always pining for Abe, etc. A lot of teen drama, that kind of stuff. Cleopatra's in it. Anywho, with all that said, though, the show ended on a kind of a cliffhanger, and everyone loved it. It was kind of a cult classic, and of course, MTV never picked up a sequel. The show ended with them like being frozen. It was like a prom night, and they all like they unleash like a cryo gas, and they all freeze. So the teaser's out, and sure enough, they're picking up exactly 20 years later, like literally 20 years. They have been frozen for 20 years. And they're thrusting. So I am excited. I've only watched this on my phone without audio, so I'm gonna watch it now, and I'm excited to see this.
Thing feels off.
Whoa! A little spaceship!
20 years ago, Cinnamon J. Scudworth created clones of historical figures and sent them to a high school called Clone High.
And then suddenly he froze the clones on winter prom night.
Our mission is to unfreeze those clones, then secretly groom them to one day rule the world.
And so begins Operation Spread Eagle.
Oh my God, this is a nightmare. Somebody wake me up.
She's great.
So we've got some new characters. Producers of Spider-Man
Confucius!
Confucius, Harriet Tubman.
Cleopatra's
Florida.
If it
So these are all new
Joan of
characters.
Arc.
I'm tougher bus. Do you know what my real name is? Christopher Columbus.
Cool.
Not cool.
Frida Kahlo. Shred, Frida, shred.
Where do you think you're going, Unibrow?
Does anyone mind if I kick off the montage? Cool. I like boobies and butts.
So sex positive.
Yes, I am positive I like sex.
If you haven't watched the first show, it is
clear which
perfectly
have the
90s.
potential to be world leaders.
Rock fight. Whoever gets hit in the nuts wins. Oh, let's play again. Oh,
It's so dumb. It's funny. That said, though, one of the breakout characters of the show and characters from the cartoon will not return. Abraham Lincoln's best buddy and pal and comedic relief of the entire show is Gandhi, and he is not coming back for the show. And that is obviously because the estate of Gandhi, the India in general, does not want him to be used in this fashion. And respectfully, he is a religious icon and kind of a big deal, and he will not be coming back. So I'm wondering how they're going to write that out. It's looking like Frida Kahlo is coming in to replace Gandhi. But yeah, I'm excited for it. It is one of those things that like many people asked for many years. We didn't get it. We moved on. We never thought we'd get it. And now it's here. So like HBO, thanks. I think. I don't know. Absolutely bananas that we're getting something like that. What else here? Okay, we also got a trailer for Marvels. And this is a pretty cool looking trailer or teaser. I mean, if you're familiar with what's going on with the MCU or whatever, it's been kind of a hit or miss. I have not watched Ant-Man at all. I'm actually waiting for it to come on streaming because it just didn't call to me to go see it at the theater. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. But we're getting, so the Marvels is kind of, we're getting all three Miss Marvels, Captain Marvel, two Captain Marvels. So all three of the characters right now that are running around with the Marvel name are now in a movie called The Marvels. And it's looking pretty cool. Like, it looks like their powers are intertwined in some way. So every time someone uses their power, they kind of swap. They immediately like get teleported to where one is, the other one is. So one could be across the galaxy, and the moment it uses their power, flips over, and it's just like they're bouncing between the three. At least that's the teaser showing. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm excited to kind of see what that means. But the trailer looks good, and it's coming out in November, which means it's going to take place after Secret Invasion. So I don't know, Marvel and its infinite methodology of like lore. I don't know what that means for anything. But let's watch this. Yeah.
Captain Rambo? What the hell are you doing?
Entering the jump point perimeter. I'm gonna get you some readings, Fury. Hello? Hello?
Captain Rambo?
Is this an Avengers test?
Where's Captain Rambo?
So when one uses their power, they all swap.
What the?
Hi.
We're looking for Kamala Khan.
Okay, so our powers are entangled. I can manipulate light energy. And you, I could totally show you. I'm not again. Hi. Where's our daughter? Wherever you were. team. No, we're not a team. We're not a team.
That trailer might be the most fun MCU trailer I've seen in a while. A lot of the movies have been kind of downers lately, not really calling to me. Guardians of the Galaxy newest trailer looks fantastic. That might be the next one I see at the theater. I don't know yet, or maybe I'll wait for Tuesday for $5 because I don't know anymore, man. But yeah, that's it. It looks fun, looks exciting. Again, more things that we have to milk. And again, out of all the movies, I did see Dungeons & Dragons. I said it was great. Mario movie, fantastic. Last bit, I'm an hour in, but you know what? I'm by myself, and I'm not catering to Pedro today since he's not here. I did see the new trailer for Guardians 3. It looks good. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for what they're going to do, what gun is how he's going to end it, who dies. I mean, obviously, it looks like someone dies, or he's ending certain characters. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know. He's been very hush on it. Obviously, he also doesn't want to talk about anything that happens with the MCU afterwards because I'm sure he signed a lot of NDAs and whatever else, considering that he's now working for the competitor, right? He's now the head of DC media for DC Comics and the DCU or whatever media. He's the new director for the next Superman Legacy movie, but whatever. Twitch. Anywho, John Wick 4. I watched that. That was fantastic. Kind of feel I left out the next movie I went to see in the theaters, the extension of the Skywalker movie. You know, sure, yeah, man. I don't. I want to see everything in theaters. I love the theater experience. Last night, like I said, I went to go see Dungeons and Dragons, and it doesn't matter. I have to get a popcorn and I have to get a Coke. So what did I do? Is I sat down in the middle row by myself, paid $5, ordered a large popcorn, ordered a large Coke, and I sat there like this, and ate my popcorn and was just happy as a effing clam because that is the movie theater experience. I love the movie theater experience. I worked at the movie theater. I loved it. It is everything about it. They are not making it friendly or cheap for the casual consumer anymore. It is too much money. The movie was always supposed to be one of those places that you go as a family with kids or your friends, and it should not cost a car payment to go to the movies. I shouldn't pay $100 in movie tickets, plus the dinner, plus the popcorn. It shouldn't cost that much. I might as well just take them to freaking Six Flags for the day. I mean, that's how much it costs. A ticket for Six Flags is $50. I might as well just buy 2 tickets to Six Flags for my kids and be done with it. I just don't understand. Yeah, who knows, man? I don't know. I'm sure we did, and whatever. I'm not saying $100, but I'm saying I'm talking about the tickets were $80. Then I spent $40 on popcorn and drinks. That's $140. Plus we went to dinner. So you go to dinner with 2 kids and the wife, and unless you're getting value menu stuff and you go sit down and eat it on a freaking Chili's nowadays, you're walking out of there with an $80 to $100 tip, $100, $80 plus tip. It's hard to not spend $100 right now. Entrees are a burger and fries at Chili's are $12 a piece. An appetizer, $3 for a Coke. Everything is just so expensive right now. I've never seen the amount of price hike after COVID and during this whole scenario. I'm now adamantly looking for places that kids eat free or a value menu just to find a way to not cook at home, right? That's just making it. So a movie night on a Friday night would cost me about $250, $300. And a car note, my car payment is $370. So, yeah. Yeah, right. And again, that's why last night I was I even told the wife, I was hey, do you mind if I go see a movie by myself? It's a $5 movie night and it's Dungeons and Dragons, and I don't know if you're into it or not, and plus the kids, and I don't want to pay. And she was yeah, man, just go. And I was okay, I'll eat dinner and go. And she was like, yeah, what time? 9 o'clock show? And I was like, yeah, 9 o'clock show. She was like, peace. I'll sit with the dogs and watch a movie here in bed. And I got home before midnight. And sure enough, it was fantastic. I mean, I would love to take the wife and have the kids stay here alone or whatever. Or maybe I'll, next time, another $5 movie or whatever, I'll take both of the kids and it'll only be $15 for tickets. Like, again, but it'll be Tuesdays. I can't do opening night movies anymore. Trust me, I got there and the parking lot was jam-packed. And I went in for Dungeons and Dragons, and it was me and like maybe 10 other people in the whole theater. And it's a place and order kind of place where they come up and you know, I ordered popcorn and a drink and they brought it to me. And she was like, hey, it might be a little bit because we're really busy. And I'm like, Mario movie? And she's like, yeah, they had 3 showings of Mario and the parking lot was full because people with kids waited till Tuesday to buy the movie, to go see it. Like that was the thing. Plus, when I'm by myself, I guarantee popcorn tricks. Oh man. So I get to the bottom of the popcorn. Ooh. Oh. I miss the theater, but I'm gonna just never know how. Yeah, I mean, exactly. You never know. You gotta get up in the middle of the movie, go to the restroom, etc. You're not feeling good, that sort of thing. I'm gonna get it. And that's where the home experience comes. Like when Dune came out on HBO Max, it was fantastic. Opening night for HBO. Like I turned it on, watched it on my OLED, turned everything down, popped some popcorn, sat down, turned everything down, and I was able to pause it at any point and go to the restroom. That was great. I loved it. Oh man, yeah. It sucks, man. So yeah, I think for you, the benefit of like being able to pause a movie and just watch it at home is great. And sure enough, I mean, go look at the dates and times of when movies are coming out for streaming. The time has gotten shorter, way shorter. I would not be surprised. I mean, there's rumor that we're going to get Mario, even though it's doing great. We might get it in streaming by end of next month. I think I heard that there was a deal with Amazon. They might get on Amazon. I don't know. Yeah, honest to God, it's fascinating when I worked at AMC back in the day that it was a homeless hangout, not Jane in any way, but I just never realized it until yeah, man. I mean, now I miss the simpler days of like working at a movie theater and just getting paid in like free movies and $1 hot dogs and popcorn and a drink for free and styrofoam cups because you couldn't use the actual cups because that was the inventory. But I digress. I'm going to end the show tonight with one more trailer that I haven't seen and I want to watch. Speaking of movies, because this entire show was movies, like John Wick 4, I saw it on a Tuesday. I would love to see 4 in the theaters, but that runtime, yeah, it's a tough runtime. I am going to share something with you two that I have not seen the end of John Wick 4. I've seen everything but the end. I overestimated the time I had. And sure enough, I needed to go run an errand, and I watched it in the middle of the day on a Tuesday. And I ran out of time, so I had to leave almost to the end of the movie, so I didn't get to see how it ended. So yeah, I haven't seen the end of John Wick 4, but I did see the movie. And then I went home, and when I got home, I read what happens at the end. It's not as satisfying as seeing it, but I saw 95% of the movie. I literally ended right as the final scenario was happening. But I had to go. It was an emergency kind of thing. That said, though, speaking of John Wick, we are getting spinoffs, right? So we are getting a spinoff movie called The Ballerina, following the Belarusi, which is, again, the family of John Wick. His family, his side of the whole, lore. And then we're also getting a prequel in the world of John Wick called The Continental. And so we just got our first teaser today. So let me show this out. And I think this one has got Mel Gibson in it, if I'm not mistaken. But I might be wrong on that. I don't know. Let's watch this because I haven't seen it. It's a Peacock original. A 3-part event, huh? Huh. Interesting. I mean, one of the best parts about the whole John Wick movies, and you caught all three, is literally the lore that was built around this. Like the whole the table and he who sits above the table and the rules and the continental and all of the specific verbiage, all was fantastic. Loved every minute of that. And if we're gonna get more of that, I'm okay with it. Let's milk. What more? What? Give us a better franchise, outside of fantasy and superheroes. I mean, this is a good franchise to kind of give us some more of this like Hitman stuff. Finally caught all three at the time when they were on HBO a month or two. We'll definitely be checking out 4 plus Continental. Always loved the lone gunman takes on the world genre. Yep, yeah, it's a great. Yeah, I mean, when you see 4, my review of 4 from what I watched, I didn't watch the very end, but 4 is fantastic. Probably one of the best cinematic gun scenes I've ever seen, ever filmed. I think everyone's talked about it. She'll show clips on it. It's like a whole top view kind of thing where you can see like the room split up. I mean, absolutely phenomenal view. I couldn't wait till I saw it on screen, and it didn't disappoint at all. It was absolutely one of the greatest gun scenes I've ever seen filmed on cinema, for sure. That said, I will say the movie is almost perfect, but I think by the end of the movie, personally, you aren't rooting for John Wick, and that's an interesting take. So go watch it if you can. Go watch a $5 flick, man, right now, and go check it out in theaters. That's definitely one of those movies that if you got the time to sit down and have 3 hours to kill, go watch, because it's 2 hours and 48 minutes. And I did not have that amount of time. I only had 2 hours and 30, and I had to leave. So, anywho, thanks, folks, for joining me. Hour and 20 by myself, of course, because I like to ramble. But I'll be back next week. Some things are happening on the show soon. I keep saying that, but as you can see, things have changed around in the room. I'm actually on a sitting desk right now, but this is a standing desk. This whole room has been kind of redone. I kind of tore apart my carpet. There's more of a studio. That is my workshop right there, where I kind of do all my modding and whatnot. You see my camera. I've been filming. There is some things happening here. My office is a little more diverse. I've got my little stereo with my CD player and my mini disc. And my mini disc player there, and just but there's some things happening, and I'm hoping everyone kind of follows along with kind of the changes. I'm hoping to bring in some new people. Pedro will still be here. He's always going to be here. He's always going to be part of the show. I don't know if he wants to step away or not. That's not in the cards that I'm aware of, but he didn't message me today, so I didn't message him either. I figured he'd just show up, but he didn't. So I'll poke him later and find out what's up. But yeah, there's a couple of contents. I'm filming a couple of things. I am filming something on the Flipper. It's had the news recently. So there's that. I am doing some more reviews on a couple of other pieces of tech. And we're gonna start filling the channel with more random videos. So please, when you see those, watch them, hit the thumbs up. If you like what you see, like, subscribe, share. More cabinet content that is happening 100%. I literally have a person go comment on one video specifically every few months and goes, "It's been another month, it's been a year," on a follow-up to this to my wonderful RGB Pi video, and that is in the process of being filmed as we speak. There's a lot of things happening. Just stick around. All right. Thanks so much for spending your Wednesday night with me. Take care. Be kind. Another episode of the Mid-Geek Crisis in the can. Good night, everyone.